Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm your host, Barrett McDonald, and I'm happily joined today by Taylor McMaster, founder of Company. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us today. Would you like to kick things off a little bit about who you are, what your company is, and what got you started on this journey?
Awesome. Thanks, Barrett, for having me. I was saying before we jumped on and started recording, I podcast every day, but I never get to chat with people here in Halifax. So it's such a treat. So thanks for inviting me on the show. Um, just a quick intro. Yeah, my name is Taylor. I am the founder of Dot and Company. We are fractional account managers for marketing agencies. We are the first and only ones who do what we do in our industry. So it's been really fun to kind of pave the way, if you will. And essentially, we are hired by marketing agencies who are struggling to retain clients, to optimize their client experience. And in most cases, the agency owner is stuck in the day to day of their agency. So we come in and support them.
Nice. That's fantastic. So you're a marketing agency for marketing agencies,
That's
so to
right.
speak.
Yeah, an
It's a
accidental
lot of fun.
agency owner. I always say I didn't want to run an agency anymore. So I started another one.
But just a different twist, which is
That's
awesome.
right.
The
Yeah.
creativity is key, right? In entrepreneurship, you got to be able to
Mhm.
pivot all the time. So, what would you say have been your biggest learnings as an employer since you started your own business?
The list is very long, I will be honest. Um, I would say the biggest learning that I've had that comes top of mind is we have this sense of wanting to control everything that is just baked into us as entrepreneurs. And as you start to build a team of people that you trust and that you enjoy working with, and that you have checks and balances in place within your business, you're able to start to let go of that control. But I think the biggest learning for me is that I don't have to fully let go of everything in order to allow my team to do a really great job. It can be this balance of, I let them do their thing, but I'm still here to support them. And that has been something that was really hard to learn, that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. I can still have a great team and still be involved at the same time, but not having to sit at my computer 9 to 5, which has been great. Um, Another big thing about being an employer is that you realize everyone has different levels of capacity and everyone is able to perform at a certain level that is unique to them. And I really thought that, the 40-hour work week was the same for everybody and everyone had what should have the same output, but that is just not the case. So that has been a unique thing that I've been able to learn. And definitely the last thing is to hire your weaknesses. I have made the mistake of hiring people who are just like me, and that just is not efficient and it's not what your business needs. So, hiring people who are really smart but are good at things that you're not, that has been the biggest thing that has helped drive our business forward.
Well, yeah, and that's fantastic. So, when you think about going out and sourcing those employees, what qualities do you look for in them since you've touched on it? And then how do you foster that positive work environment?
The qualities that I look for, there's the obvious things like, are they qualified? Do they have the experience and the things on paper? But what we call it here at Dot and Company is dot vibes. And what that means is this feeling. It's a feeling of, do I trust this person? Do I feel like we could have a really great bond and a relationship? Are they going to represent my brand in the way that I want? And it's just this feeling, it's a warmth. It's, do they have that go-getter mentality, but they're very professional and polished? And we wrap it up with a bow and call it dot vibes, but essentially it's the personality side of it that I really look for. And that has been the biggest thing, that anytime I've made a hiring quote mistake, we'll call it, is when I overlooked that. I overlooked, maybe they don't fully have the vibes that I'm looking for, but they're really qualified. Well, it doesn't usually work out because the culture fit just isn't there. And so really trusting myself and trusting my team that we are only hiring for the dot vibes, it has been really important.
Well, it's fantastic. And then how do you kind of keep everybody together working coast to coast?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's tricky at times, because you're not in the office chatting and grabbing coffee with people. But we have, a social committee, we have departments internally that build culture. We did a retreat this year where we all got together. And really it's the feeling that we're all here to help. And, after our meeting today, Barrett, I'm chatting with one of my team members for a virtual coffee. We get randomly assigned to people every 2 weeks, and we just hop on and chat. Grab a
Nice.
coffee and connect. And so we look for opportunities to build a culture, although we're not in person, because the people that we're hiring are really interested in this remote lifestyle. And this is definitely their vibe. But we do have to make sure that the environment you know, is positive and it's an open door, even though there's no door, making sure that they understand we're here for them. And yeah, there's different things that you can do, but it takes a lot more work, I find, to build a good culture remotely.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. So what do you attribute your growth to at Dot and Company?
That's a good question. Um, I think the biggest thing for me was that I've stayed really laser focused on the one thing that we're good at. And I chat with a lot of entrepreneurs, and the shiny object syndrome is so there. And the biggest thing that we have done is stay really focused. And the service offering that we're doing today is the same as it was 5 years ago, although it's improved and gotten better, more efficient. It's still the same thing. Our positioning is the same market, really narrow focus. And that has allowed us to scale. We have a team of 50 people now. And the only reason we've been able to do that is because we can rinse and repeat the same system, the same sales process, the same hiring process, that has really allowed us to scale. Now, I am an entrepreneur, so I will tell you that we could be a lot bigger if we didn't have to make the mistakes that we did over the last 5 years. So, working with coaches like you or people in the industry who help you not make those mistakes, or your bounce back rate is a lot quicker, then my business could be a lot bigger. And I attribute that to the mistakes that I had to learn and pay for myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they're not really mistakes, they're just lessons, really.
That's right.
Because the only way you never learn anything when you just succeed the first time you try it.
No,
It's like, oh,
exactly.
this is going to work all the time. And then the reality is it never does. You had a unique unicorn in that scenario,
Yeah,
which makes it
exactly. You
good.
just have to learn by doing.
Absolutely. So what would you say are some of the common misconceptions about being an entrepreneur and a business owner that you come across, and how do you combat those?
The biggest misconception I would say in my personal life is that nobody really gets me. Nobody understands the things that we're going through. They think it's just easy. They see oh, flexible lifestyle, go travel whenever you want, that kind of thing, which is amazing. I'm not going to lie. But the things that we are struggling with, nobody else gets. And, it was only recently that I realized that, I don't have to teach everyone what I'm going through. They don't have to understand, and they'll never understand. And so having a support system that, even though they don't get it, they can relate and they can support you in a way that, makes you a better person. And then I guess, like, internally within our business and our organization, even your employees will never get you. They don't understand the things that are making you tick, the things that are keeping you up at night. They will never understand. And this is why I think I need to write a book called How to How to Work for an Entrepreneur, because we're such a unique breed. And I think that realizing that nobody is ever going to get it, and that's okay, and kind of building your culture and your team to allow for that has been a big learning for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that learning curve can be exact and ecstatic, which is good all at the same time. So yeah, and realizing that not everybody wants to be number one is a thing that we all have to learn at some point in time. They just want to show up, do what they do, and move on past, and that's okay. That's what makes the world go round, is a bunch of individuals like that. So that's fun. So I applaud you for that mindset and everything, which is really good. If you were to start all over again from scratch in business, what would you do differently the next time around?
I would not get as involved as I did. So
Yeah.
right from the beginning, I was doing all of the things. I was the account manager, I was the accountant, the HR, the marketer, the everything, right? And I didn't invest in my business early enough. I wasn't investing in the hiring the right people so that I could remove myself. I wasn't buying back my time. I wasn't hiring the coaches at a rate that I should have. And I was just the bottleneck for way too long. So we're actually launching a new business right now. And that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm not getting involved. I'm not interviewing. I'm not managing. I'm not training. I'm really staying high level. And if I would have done that from the beginning, we would have been a lot further along. But like you said, right, those are lessons that I had to learn. But that is the one thing that I would say is get out of the way.
Fantastic. Yeah, we sometimes are in our own way, that's for sure. But so then how do you go about balancing your personal life and the demands of running a business?
I feel like I'm pretty good at it now, probably not in the early days of startup life, but my husband and I actually work together. So that's another layer that we've added on top of this. But, I don't work on the weekends. I don't work, I do work in the evenings when I need to, but really it's just creating boundaries and, removing Slack and email from your phone and, putting on your out of office when you're out of office and setting the expectations with your team. The biggest thing that I've learned is that there's always more to do. So even if I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get all my work done this afternoon, like it never ends as an entrepreneur. There's always more that you can be doing. So you have to figure out what is enough for you and set those boundaries and say, like, okay, if I only get one thing done today, what is it going to be? And actually go do it and trust yourself. And then on the flip side of that, leveraging team members. So, I have an executive assistant who helps me immensely. So she's doing, the big lifting when it comes to the admin or the back end. And I can show up and just do the 10% that only I can do. So really leveraging my team and allowing them to do their best work so that yes, when I am golfing, stuff is still moving forward.
Absolutely.
And kind of setting those boundaries with the team too has been really important.
Well, fantastic. That's awesome. So my kind of last wrap up question is for anyone watching the series at home and thinking about jumping into the world of entrepreneurship and starting their own business, what's one solid piece of advice you have for them?
I would say it is totally worth it. It's not easy, but it is worth it. And your mindset is the most important thing. Anytime I have, quote, failed, it's because my mindset isn't in check. So having people in your ear, whether it's podcasts, whether it's books, whether it's coaches like you, make sure that your mindset is in check because that is the one thing that will fail you.
Absolutely. Fantastic piece of advice to wrap things up. So Taylor, thank you so much for joining me today, and everyone watching at home. I hope to see you on our next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks.